As we continue practicing insight meditation, we are learning and applying the unaltered transmission of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The purpose is true liberation, but for liberation, concentration is essential. Concentration has another name: stilling. How do we settle the mind? In the first jhāna, the second, the third, or the fourth, each of the 4 jhanas, and all 8 attainments, has its own form of stillness and stability. People often ask, have you attained jhāna? But the real question is, in which jhāna is your mind steadily established? How firmly can you remain there? So today, we introduce the 10 skills for establishing stillness. These 10 skills of settling the mind help explain why some practitioners meditate for years, yet cannot enter jhāna, or once entering do not know how to dwell there, or move in and out with ease. These 10 skills assist meditators directly. The 10 skills of stillness. 01. Skill 1. Purifying one's conditions. To purify one's conditions means to keep one's robes, food, lodging, and medicine, the 4 requisites, simple, clean, and sufficient. This is few desires, content with little. This is the spirit of the ascetic monk. The texts tell of 2 monks who ordained together. After many years, one lived in Mumbai, a prosperous region in southern India. The other stayed in the northern snowy mountains, where food and requisites were rare. One day the monk living in Mumbai thought, "It has been many years. I should visit my old friend and bring him to a better place. He would be more comfortable with me." He traveled north and stayed with the elder for 3 days. On the 3rd day, after the midday meal, he expressed his intention. "It is too poor and difficult here. Come with me. Come live in a place where you will be well supported." The elder monk said, "Go then." The visiting monk was startled. "Go? But I have only stayed 3 days. I must pack my belongings." He looked at his possessions. A full load, a whole bundle accumulated in just 3 days. He said, "You are ready to leave now?" The elder replied, "Yes, of course." He had nothing, only his 3 robes and 1 bowl. He practiced the ascetic path. The visiting monk bowed and said, "You have lived here for decades, with nothing but robes and a bowl. You are a foremost ascetic, a great practitioner of diligence. You are one who desires little, who lives with few possessions. You do not need to move. Wherever you live is the same." He bowed deeply at the elder's feet. This is the true meaning of purifying one's conditions. 3 robes and a bowl. That is enough. Today, even among monastics, many cannot let go of dwellings, furnishings, and belongings. Even a small old temple cannot be released. This is still attachment. Purifying one's conditions is the first skill of stillness. Letting go of craving, Master Jin Bifeng smashes his bowl. In the Zen tradition, there is a story that teaches how we must purify our possessions live with few desires, and be content. Only then can we realize the true path. During the Ming Dynasty, there lived a Zen master named Bifeng, known as Jin Bifeng. He was born in Yongshu County in Shanxi, and he later became the teacher of Emperor Zhu Yunzhang, a national preceptor. Out of deep respect, the emperor offered him a bowl. It was no ordinary bowl, a golden bowl made of purple gold. Jin Bifeng served as abbot for many years, guiding the assembly, holding the monastery, and fulfilling his duties as national teacher. Then the time of impermanence arrived. His lifespan was coming to an end. When one serves as abbot, if one is not careful, it is easy to make mistakes and fall into subtle forms of wrongdoing. Two messengers of impermanence, two small death spirits, were sent to collect him, but they could not find him. His time is up, they said. We must complete our task. Where is Jin Bifeng? They searched everywhere but could not find him, because he was in meditation. He had entered a deep state, not the jhanas of form, but a Zen absorption based on investigating the origin of words, the great doubt. Sitting, standing, walking, lying, in movement and in stillness. He remained in that special absorption called Naga Samadhi. The messengers searched the heavens, the forests, mountains, and rivers, everywhere. Still they could not find him. They began to panic. Finally, one clever spirit said, "He must still have affection for his bowl." The spirit transformed into a small mouse and made a sound on the bowl. Clink. Jin Bifeng emerged from samadhi. The spirit seized the moment and captured him. This is how craving works. A single thought of attachment belongs to the world of form. A craving thought is heavy. It pulls the mind downward toward falling, toward bondage. Jin Bifeng said to the spirits, "I have served as abbot here. I have responsibilities to settle. Return in 7 days. I will hand everything over properly." The spirits heard this and agreed. As soon as they left, Jin Bifeng understood. This subtle craving, this tiny attachment to one bowl, is enough to obstruct liberation. He lifted the bowl and smashed it to pieces. In that moment, he let everything go. He practiced with full diligence. All conditions abandoned, all ties released. 7 days later, the messengers returned. Jin Bifeng spoke. "You wish to seize Jin Bifeng? If an iron chain can bind the empty sky, then you can capture me." He had awakened. He was no longer within the 3 realms. They could not touch him. He had gone beyond birth and death, free to live or die as he wished, beyond their reach. This is the meaning of purifying one's possessions, the mind that does not cling, the heavenly Subhuti. There is also the story of heavenly Subhuti, and his situation is different. Many people ask, why did the Buddha treat heavenly Subhuti differently? Because Subhuti descended from the heavenly realms. His past merit was vast, his remaining blessings were abundant. His father was a wealthy elder with great riches and treasures. He built for Subhuti a residence like a royal palace. They asked the Buddha for permission. The Buddha said, aloud, C dash dash. For him it was acceptable, but for other monks it would not be. Why? Because Subhuti did not cling. He neither rejected nor desired. He was free from attachment, free from grasping, free from holding on. His mind did not bind itself to anything. For many people, even receiving $100 is already an obstacle. They hide it here, hide it there, fear it will be stolen, unable to let go. We must understand correctly. In the middle Agama, two contrasting examples are given. The teaching, purify your possessions, depends on the person. But for most people, the rule is simple. Keep life simple. Too many belongings, too many material things. Scatter the mind. Recently, we studied a sutta from the Middle Agama. It describes a very poor man. His house leaked, his bed was broken. The structure was collapsing, everything was rotting. His wife was blind and deaf. The bowls were cracked, the pots incomplete, the entire household full of disorder. And yet he could not let go. He loved that house. He clung to it dearly. He refused to leave. This is attachment. Then the sutta describes another man, the son of a great elder. In his household there were hundreds, or even thousands of servants, wealth beyond measure, jewels of every kind, everything one could desire, and yet he let it all go. He renounced it, left home, and attained the path. The point is understanding. If the mind is filled with clinging, its vision becomes narrow. But with right understanding, like Prince Siddhartha himself, even the status of a world monarch is seen as nothing. The Buddha said, better to realize awakening than to rule a kingdom. Shantideva Bodhisattva, the author of The Way of the Bodhisattva, is the prince known as Shantideva, also called Jingtian or Jitian in Chinese. He was born into royalty. His mother was a devout laywoman. In India, the Brahmin tradition held a ritual called anointment, a coronation ceremony. When a prince turned 20, one among them would be chosen to inherit the throne, a prince full of compassion and wisdom. Shantideva had been selected for this anointment, but his mother sensed that this prince did not belong to worldly life. His roots of goodness were deep. She wished him to leave home and realize the true path. She said, "My child, let your mother bathe you." For the last time, she instructed the palace maidens to boil the water. Then she scooped several ladles and poured the hot water over her son's head. He cried out, "Mother, why do you cause me such pain? You have always loved me." She said, "My child, I do love you. This small pain is nothing. To become a king is far more painful. Life in this world is suffering. To rule a kingdom, even greater suffering. But the one who renounces desire, who is not bound by the world." The monk knows peace. The one who rests in Dhamma knows peace. The awakened one knows peace, and Nibbana is the highest peace. Hearing this before dawn came, Santideva left the palace and fled into the night. He eventually arrived at Nalanda. He practiced with great diligence. Because of his vast merit, his great roots of goodness, and his strong past causes, he attained realization within just a few years. Once awakened, he feared others would notice. Whenever people were present, he pretended to be lazy, sleeping, snoring, showing no interest in meditation or discipline. But whenever no one was around, he sat with perfect composure, practicing deeply. Today, many people are the opposite. They show good posture when others see them. But when alone, they become lax and careless. A realized one is different. Nalanda and its great tradition. Nalanda's greatness did not appear in a few years or decades. Its lineage and reputation were built over centuries. Why was Nalanda located where it was? Near Rajagaha, the same region where the Buddha first renounced worldly life. In a nearby village called Maugada, thousands of arahants were born. Sariputta Moggallana, Mahakakayana, and many more. Most arahants return to their birthplace to enter final nibbana. Thus, Nalanda came to hold the relic shrines of thousands of noble disciples. Practitioners traveled there to honor these shrines. In time, this sacred environment grew into the greatest monastic university. Shantideva, having attained the path, hid his virtue, so as not to attract fame. At the time, many monks were driven by status and reputation. He wished to avoid such competition, so he concealed his attainment. Because he appeared lazy, the senior monks believed he lacked discipline. He never bowed, never recited the precepts, never meditated, at least not in public. They decided, let everyone at Nalanda take the platform and teach. Let him demonstrate that he has nothing to offer, so we may dismiss him. A teaching platform was built. Monks recited suttas, taught Dhamma, or expounded Vinaya. Eventually, Shantideva's turn came. He walked up calmly. He sat on the Dharma seat and asked the assembly, "What would you like to hear? Teachings you have heard before, or teachings you have never heard?" Many mocked him. They laughed. They didn't take him seriously. "Of course," they said, "teach what we have never heard." Santideva replied, "Very well. I will teach what none of you have heard." He began to recite his own composition, The Way of the Bodhisattva, Bodhicaryavatara, when he reached chapter 9. The chapter on wisdom, he rose into the air and taught while hovering above them. When he reached the final chapter, the dedication ... he disappeared from sight. None knew where he went. The elders said afterward, "We must treat every monastic equally. Do not look down on anyone. A monk with noble presence may have little wisdom. A monk who appears lax may hold great realization." Shantideva later traveled to the southern regions near Mumbai. Nalanda is in the north, near Bengal. Mumbai is far to the south. There he taught the Dhamma through song and verse. 2 monks from Nalanda were sent to invite him back as their abbot. He said, "It is the same wherever I reside." They asked, "The teaching you gave, the one we had never heard, where is it written?" He said, "In my room, in the crack between the walls. It has been there for many years. You may retrieve it." The monks returned, found the manuscript, and brought it back. This text became renowned for generations. The Way of the Bodhisattva. In the northern Buddhist world, this scripture was not known until recent decades. In the 1980s and 1990s, a Taiwanese lay practitioner, Chen Yu Jiao, studied Tibetan in India and translated it into Chinese. He later ordained as Venerable Rushi. This great treatise contains 10 chapters, each beautifully written, each structured with clarity and depth, guiding practice with precision. Using what is borrowed and impermanent to cultivate what is real. To purify our conditions means to live simply. Some people say, leaving home and becoming a monk means leaving everything behind, doesn't it? Yet often, after leaving one home, they immediately enter another. They still build another home. A true renunciant is one who lets go of sensual attachment. He cannot be tied down by many belongings. He cannot be bound by possessions and equipment. So this first skill, purifying one's conditions, if we cannot do this, it is impossible to enter concentration. Impossible. Even the things we use temporarily, whether monastics or lay practitioners, when we come into the Sangha, everything is borrowed. Even the abbot, the manager, the guest, prefect, the kitchen steward, the attendant's dash. All these positions are temporary duties. Their robes, their food, their bowls, all requisites, are the same, equal. Everything is borrowed from the monastic community. Nothing is mine. To renounce the household life is to be without a home. Then why do we stay in monasteries? Because the Sangha is the place where we learn, where we teach one another, where we polish one another. The texts give a metaphor. The Sangha is like a great furnace. Raw ore goes into the fire, and through heating, melting, and refining, gold emerges. The Sangha is such a furnace, a place that shapes people, a place that matures practitioners, a place where Buddhas are formed. Another metaphor, river stones. At the upper stream, they are sharp and rough, full of edges. As they flow downstream, they become smooth, because they strike and shape each other. The monastic community is like this. Living together, we complete one another. If one makes a mistake, others point it out. Others err, we point it out. Everyone becomes a person of 5 virtues. This mutual refinement is the great power and the great merit of the Buddha's Sangha. So everything we use, every possession, every requisite, is borrowed. This body, too, is like a house we borrow. When it grows old, when it decays, we leave it behind and take up another. There is no I, no mine. So purifying our conditions means seeing everything as borrowed, as temporary, as dependently arisen. We borrow the environment, the air, the food, the requisites to cultivate the path. We must not hold them as something real, solid, permanent, or belonging to me. That leads to downfall. Everything is borrowed. Therefore, we must cherish it. Even when borrowed, we care for it, as if protecting our eyes. We do not damage anything. We sweep and clean thoroughly. We keep things in order. When we see cleanliness, we feel joy. When others see it, they feel joy. This is cleanliness. Our dwelling must be clean. Our belongings must be simple. Our room and the area around it should be kept neat and orderly. This is part of proper conduct and meditative discipline. Freedom from the craving for fame and gain. Even in how we dress, we should not try to be different, not try to stand out, not try to appear special. These days, we sometimes see robes, deliberately patched in many colors. A green piece here, a white piece there. A robe made purposely uneven, purposely irregular. What is this? This is outside the discipline. This is acting against the training. In the old days, robes were difficult to obtain. Those who lived the ascetic life carried a needle case with them, because robes wore out naturally and needed mending. Layer upon layer of patched rags, how peaceful the life becomes. Those robes were patched because long use had worn them down. But now people patch robes before they are worn. They want to show, look at me, I am practicing well. This is the mind seeking fame and gain. The craving for recognition grows even stronger. They wear a mottled robe and call it a rag robe. Once, in Lhasa, I met a man who claimed to be an ascetic. He was very tall, almost 2 meters. He had walked all the way from Mount Wutai to Lhasa. His appearance was unusual. He was already tall, and his robe had so many patches. It must have weighed more than 10 kilograms. His hair was long. He tied it with a strip of cloth. He wore a belt around his waist. It all looked strange. One glance, and you knew he was Han Chinese. But his conduct was not Tibetan, not Han, not monk, not lay, nothing matched. He said, I am an ascetic. We asked him, are you truly an ascetic? Yes, he said. Have you learned the ascetic practices? What are those? He replied. He did not know what the ascetic trainings are. The basic trainings include sleeping under trees, wearing only 3 robes, using simple medicine, always going on alms round, never separating from needle case, water vessel, and sitting cloth. There are 12 practices. None may be missing. If one is missing, the ascetic vow is broken. He had never heard of them. After listening, he said, I have learned so much today. So his claim to be an ascetic was false. Purifying one's conditions does not mean showing oneself off. Inside, he was saying, Look at me. See how I live. Surely I am a true practitioner. This is not the way. To purify our conditions means clean, simple, orderly. Appearance follows the mind. If a person's belongings are too many, too scattered, too messy, his mind is also crowded full of wandering thoughts. If his robe and his requisites are clean, fresh, simple, and neat, then his mind can become pure, single, unmixed, undisturbed. Body and mind are not two. So purifying our conditions is also a form of proper conduct. We must learn this conduct. In the skill of stillness, once the first step, purifying one's conditions, is fulfilled, we can move to the next. If the first step is not fulfilled, the mind cannot enter concentration. Stillness cannot be established. Without this skill, the mind becomes clumsy, dull, heavy, unable to move freely. The first skill of stillness is to purify one's conditions. This is the beginning. Two, balancing the 5 spiritual faculties. The second skill of stillness is to let the 5 faculties move in balance along the path. These 5 are the faculties of faith, mindfulness, energy, concentration, and wisdom. They must stay even. None can overpower the others. Some teachers say, gather the 6 senses. Some speak of balancing the 5 faculties. The meaning is the same. The faculties must be steady, not tilted to one side. If faith becomes strong, but wisdom remains weak, the balance is lost. It is like a cart pulled by 2 horses. If one strains and one becomes lazy, the whole cart cannot move straight. Faith is essential. When faith is present, the heart has no doubt. It is the ending of uncertainty. Before meeting a true teacher, most people live in confusion, doubting themselves, doubting others, guessing within guessing about others, living in imagination, pushing forward and retreating, never steady, never confident. Faith comes from listening. Without hearing the Dhamma, faith cannot arise. So listening, truly listening, is essential. Faith in the Buddha, faith in the Dhamma, faith in the Sangha, faith in the discipline. These 4 are called the 4 unshakable purities. When these are firm, no circumstance can turn one away. Even sickness, accusation, or threat to one's life cannot shake a heart grounded in faith. This is the fullness of faith, mindfulness. The second is the faculty of mindfulness. Mindfulness must be steady, clear, and present. Energy. The third is the faculty of energy, the strength of diligence. This must continue again and again. Concentration. The fourth is concentration. One must have the root of concentration. Many people lack this root. Their minds are restless, easily stirred, unable to sit still. Others can sit long and deeply. Their concentration root is strong. If the root is not here now, it will not suddenly appear. In the future, it must be trained from today onward. Wisdom, the fifth, is the faculty of wisdom. We cultivate this by contemplating the Four Noble Truths, by remembering them, by reflecting again and again, until understanding grows, keeping the faculties even. These five must stay balanced. Not too strong, not too weak, not leaning on one and abandoning another. Only when the faculties move evenly together can one walk the path. Without stopping, without sorrow, without inner struggle, without doubting oneself or doubting others. Doubt is cut off when balance appears. This is the second skill of stillness, to keep the five faculties even and steady as we walk the path. 3. Skillfulness with mental appearances. The third skill is even more important. It is the skill of working wisely with appearances. When we sit down, our mind behaves like a monkey, grasping one branch, releasing another, never still. The mind always wants to cling to something. It fears letting go. Some people enter a little concentration and immediately fear arises. What about my house, my children, my bank account, my villa, my car? This is because they do not understand how to be skillful with appearances. Skillfulness means understanding the images and impressions that arise in the mind. They will come. They will appear. Once the Buddha was sitting with the monks and instructed them to practice mindfulness of breathing purely, single-mindedly. After one period, a short period, a single session, the Buddha asked, "What appeared to you?" One monk said, "Lord, I felt as if I flew into the clouds." Another said, "Great sea filled my mind, vast and boundless." Another said, "I saw open space." Another said, "I saw mountains." Another said, "I saw cities." Many said, "I saw the Buddha, radiant and beautiful." Some said, "I saw ghosts." Others saw harmful beings. All of these arise from the mind itself. They come from recent habits or old impressions stored deeply within. When concentration grows, they rush up like waves. This is where skillfulness with appearances is essential. During mindfulness of breathing, how do we handle them? We do not. If they appear, they appear. If they do not, they do not. Do not search for them. Do not chase them away. Once, during retreat, a monk said, "I cannot meditate anymore. I must change practices. I am terrified." Our retreat was arranged in 7-day cycles. On every third day, We offered teachings. Monks would line up outside the room waiting for guidance. This monk said, "When I sit, I see a man carrying his severed head. He walks back and forth in front of me for years. I have hated him. I chant. He does not leave. I make hand gestures. He does not leave. I try many methods. He does not leave. This is a lack of skill with appearances. Trying to force it away keeps it there. Hating it keeps it there. Grasping is holding. Rejecting is also holding. These two are the same trap. The mind becomes extreme, trapped in duality. I told him, just look at it. Look with a steady mind, neither liking nor rejecting, neither fear nor delight. Simply observe, where does it arise from? When it disappears, ask gently, where did it go? Where is its resting place? The next day, he returned. This works, he said. This method works. After several more days, he came again. It is gone. You are amazing. He said, many people advised me to chant, to visualize, and to force it away, but nothing worked. For years, I felt possessed. Your method is simple, but it works. This is skillfulness with mental appearances, and this is the third of the 10 skills of stillness. 4. Rousing the mind. When the mind must be roused. To rouse the mind is like lighting a fire. When dullness appears, when the body feels heavy, when the heart carries too many burdens, too many worries, too many desires, too many promises, too much weight. The mind sinks, the body sinks, everything feels dark and sluggish. You sit down, and nothing feels light. Others seem light, but you feel heavier than a house, heavier than a mountain, heavier than Sumeru itself. Nothing feels comfortable. What can be done? This is the time to light a fire, to spark energy, like a pile of wood. That must be ignited. You gather dry grass, add a little oil, find dry sticks, and kindle the flame. In meditation, this means you must shift to insight. Among the 7 factors of awakening which cultivate insight, mindfulness is insight. Investigation of Dhamma is insight. Joy is insight. These 3 must be developed. So when the mind is heavy, when dullness spreads, when foolishness thickens, when the body sinks and cannot work like a blunt sword, that must be sharpened before the battle dash. This is the moment to cultivate insight, to rouse the mind. When the mind must be roused, is to kindle that inner fire. This is the 4th skill of stillness. 5. When the mind must be restrained, restrain the mind. The 5th skill moves in the opposite direction. To restrain means to press down, to hold steady, to quiet and subdue. When the mind must be restrained, we restrain the mind. When the fire has already flared up, we must put it out. How do we extinguish it? We use wet wood, we use damp earth, we pour water. Only then can the flame subside. So when the mind is full of restless thoughts, scattered, agitated, pulling in 10 directions, busy with fantasies, crowded with stories, racing like a monkey, from branch to branch, dash, dash, what can we do? This is the time for tranquility among the 7 factors of awakening which cultivate calm. Tranquility is calm. Concentration is calm. Equanimity is calm. These 3 are the path of stillness. To restrain means to press down the heat, to steady the mind, to subdue the uproar, to quiet the flames. When the mind must be restrained, we restrain the mind. This is the skillful use of the heart. 6. When joy should be raised, raise joy. The 6th skill is learning how to bring joy at the right time. What gives rise to joy? Many things can brighten the heart. Sometimes we reflect and gratitude appears. Whenever gratitude arises, whenever kindness grows, the heart becomes joyful. These are wholesome causes of happiness. Before hearing the teachings, we were self-centered, harming others, disturbing others, feeling satisfied. As long as we did not lose. Now we understand. Now we refrain. And from this restraint, joy naturally arises. Before we knew nothing of samsara or liberation. Now we have met a true teacher. We have stepped away from darkness. We have turned toward the light, and the heart fills with gladness. Before we spent our days in meaningless work, busy, 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 for food, for houses, for savings, for things, with no real purpose. Our thoughts, our speech, our actions were all scattered, all without meaning. Now we understand. Now we give our time, this precious human time, to growing in the path, to deepening practice, to moving upward. And this brings a quiet happiness. Before we lived in fine homes, yet found no peace. Now we live simply, content with little, far from distraction, free from disturbance. And joy arises swiftly among all joyful teachings. The 10 recollections are supreme. The Ekotarika Agama begins with them. Each recollection refreshes the heart. Each one brings gladness. So when joy is needed, we raise joy. This is the 6th skill of stillness. 7. When the time is to let go, let the mind let go. How do we cultivate letting go? When something is gained, we do not cling. We do not stop there. When the mind reaches access concentration, we let it go and move toward the first jhāna. When the first jhāna is established, we let it go and move toward the second. Here, letting go means protecting what is gained, holding it lightly, and continuing upward. It is not abandoning practice. It is progressing. How do we practice this? When it is time to let go, we let the mind let go. King Pasenadi once told his ministers, "We will travel to the Vessel region." From Shravast to Vessel he prepared 7 carriages. He rode the first carriage until reaching the second. Then he left the first and took the second. He rode the second until reaching the third. Then he left the second and took the third. In this way, he moved carriage by carriage from the first to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, to the sixth, to the seventh dash, and arrived in Vessel. Did he ride all 7 carriages at once? Number. Did he reach the destination with only 1 carriage? Also number. Practice is gradual. When it is time to let go, we let go, step by step. It is like memorizing. We learn the first line, then the second. Then we join them. We learn the third line. Then we join all 3. This is the training of letting go. When we gain access concentration, we move upward toward the first jhāna. When the first jhāna is stable, we return to access concentration, stabilize it, and rise again to the first jhāna. Then we train for the second jhāna. When the second is stable, we return again. Steady the foundation and rise further, step by step. It is like the 4 steps of mindfulness of breathing, knowing in-breath and out-breath, knowing long and short breaths, knowing the whole body of breath, knowing subtle, refined breath. Even when the 4th stage is clear and steady, we return to the first again and again, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, until all 4 stages appear swiftly and effortlessly. This is letting go. It is like riding 7 carriages. We ride each one, but not at the same time. We move forward, step by step, stage by stage, path by path. Not stuck in the first, not skipping to the last. This is true releasing. When it is time to let go, we let go. This is the 7th. Skill of stillness. 8. Keep a distance from minds without collectedness. The 8th skill is to keep distance from those who have no steadiness. When we spend our days with people whose minds are heavy with defilements, people full of agitation, full of gossip, full of scattered speech, full of stories and complaints, our own mind becomes disturbed. After hearing them, even for a short while, we may find that for several days, The mind cannot settle, cannot become quiet. Their agitation spreads quickly. Their thoughts run too fast. So we keep a gentle distance from those who lack collectedness, not out of rejection, not out of dislike, but out of wisdom. This is skillfulness, to distance ourselves from scattered minds, from restless minds, from minds overflowing with fantasy and worry. This is the 8th skill of stillness. 9. Draw close to minds that are steady. The 9th skill is the opposite. We draw close to those who are steady. Whom do we approach? Those with collected minds. Those whose bodies are calm and whose hearts are at ease. Those who have tasted the peace of concentration. Those with few duties, few entanglements, few desires. Those whose hearts are pure, simple, unmixed. These are the people we keep near. Their presence supports the path. Their steadiness strengthens our own. This is the 9th skill of stillness. These 9 are the skills of entering, sustaining, and stabilizing. Concentration. Without skill, we ask, why do I practice so long and see no progress? Why do I not receive the benefit of meditation? Because without skill, the mind wanders endlessly. Without method, there is only dreaming. With skill, with method, with steadiness, the heart can enter stillness. 10. With a heart inclined toward concentration, lean fully into the path. The 10th skill is to incline the heart toward concentration, to lean toward it with sincerity, to honor it, to praise it. When we honor concentration, the mind moves toward it. When we praise the path, the heart opens to it. When we respect those who uphold meditation, respect those who guard the discipline, respect those who cultivate wisdom, our own practice deepens. Those who criticize concentration, those who slander discipline or wisdom find it difficult to practice. Slander creates obstacles. It blocks the path. So we honor the Dhamma. We praise the teachings. We lean the heart towards steadiness. Even scriptures that are damaged, even pages that are torn, should be treated with reverence. We place them in clean places, never where feet tread. If there is no suitable shelter, we place them quietly in a forest or mountain place, so they may return naturally to the elements, but we never throw them away. Anything that carries the teachings is to be treated as the Buddha, the body of Dhamma, for within them are the instructions for concentration, for wisdom, for virtue, to incline the heart toward concentration means to honor, discipline, concentration, and wisdom, to praise, their transmission, to value every teaching passed down from teacher to disciple. These instructions did not come easily. Many gave their lives seeking them. Many traveled dangerous paths to preserve them. There is a story we heard as children, one that always brings tears. The elder Faxian set out for India in old age. Why? Because he discovered that the discipline texts in his land were incomplete. He vowed to find the authentic teachings. Many monks began the journey with him. As they traveled, their numbers dwindled. In Gansu, fewer remained. In the deserts of the West, fewer still. By the time they reached the snowy passes, between Kashgar and Kashmir, only 2 were left. One monk became ill from cold and exhaustion and died on the high pass. 6,000 meters above sea level, Faxian wept. He had never wept before. He said, "This monk understood the Dhamma." His grief was deep. He had almost nothing left. The robe he wore was precious, more precious than grain, more precious than gold, more precious than building a temple, for in those times a robe was life itself. He removed that robe and covered the body of his companion. He continued walking again and again. He turned back to look. Even when the body was no longer visible, he still cried. Every step was heavy with sorrow and gratitude. This is how the teachings came to us through hardship, through sacrifice, through devotion. So we must value the Dhamma. We must honor the lineage. We must respect concentration, respect access concentration, respect the first jhāna, and respect the skills of stillness to incline the heart toward concentration is to praise it, to cherish it, to remember it again and again. This is the 10th skill of stillness. These are the 10 skills of settling the mind. The 10 skills of stillness. The 10 skills of settling the mind are these: first, to purify our conditions; second, to balance the 5 faculties so the path can move forward; third, to be skillful with the appearances that arise in the mind; fourth, when the mind needs to be energized, we energize it; fifth, when the mind needs to be subdued, we subdue it; sixth, when joy is needed, we raise joy; seventh, when letting go is needed, we let go; eighth, to keep a gentle distance from uncollected minds; ninth, to draw close to steady minds; 10th, to incline the heart toward concentration, to honor it, to praise it, to lean into the path with sincerity. When these 10 skills are fulfilled, access concentration and the first jhāna become easy, natural, and close at hand. This is why the ancients said, "Only speak of sowing the field, never of harvesting. Give without expecting, practice without demanding, and the path ripens quickly. Realization comes sooner. Now let us relax the body. Relax again and again. Use these 10 skills throughout the day. Practice stillness. Practice insight. We will pause for 5 minutes, then return to the hall.